Good evening and welcome to a special edition of the Catholic Defender radio show. Tonight, with your host Don Hartley, the Catholic Defender, we will examine in depth the truths of our faith and why we believe them. Tonight, Don Hartley's guest host is John Carpenter, an expert on a number of apparitions of our Blessed Mother. Tonight, John will lead us in an in-depth examination of one of these apparitions. Here now is John Carpenter, who will tell us which of Our Lady's apparitions we will examine tonight.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Journey with Mary. Every week we take a close look at one of the appearances of the Blessed Mother, the Virgin Mary, somewhere in the world where she has appeared, and she's been doing it for almost 2,000 years. That's a long time. So we have documented almost 2,700 appearances, and I know there's some that aren't even listed that have happened. So she's been making a lot of appearances, but I didn't know anything about this until about 12 years ago. And then all of a sudden, I thought, wow, what is going on here? Only to find out that millions of people had known about it, but still, there's billions of people in the world that don't care and don't look at it and don't talk about it. So even though millions do know about it, it's not a headline topic. It should be, but it's not, because it's probably considered too weird or some kind of psychological problem or religious perversion or whatever, But it's not. It's not. I mean, my field is psychology, and I've been a psychiatric therapist for 40 years, and in doing so, I've seen anything and everything you can imagine. And I thought, what is this that's going on? This is another thing people are experiencing. Well, there's no doubt in my mind it's the very real thing. It's not any kind of psychological problem. And all the other psychiatrists and therapists and psychologists and medical professionals have come to the same conclusion as well, that there's nothing to explain this. It's supernatural, it's real, it's happening, and we need to learn everything we can about it because it's unique. And so what I'm saying is that the Virgin Mary is making appearances, and we are documenting these things and trying to study them and understand them. So this show tries to bring you the best evidence, the best information as we go around the world looking at different appearances and comparing notes. The interesting thing you'll find is that no matter where she appears, it's very similar. What happens, how she appears, what she says, and that's amazing when you think about it. How could all these places around the world come up with the same details so consistently and in such a precise manner if it weren't real? That's the beauty of it. That makes it real, because fantasy, imagination, hallucinations, and all that would never come up with the same details. It'd be all over the place, thousands of different directions. But it's very consistent, very specific details, no matter where she appears or when she has appeared in the last 2,000 years. So tonight we'll be going to Brazil, South America. And you might say, oh, I thought she only appeared in Europe. Nope. She's been all around the world. And that's the beauty of it, too. She's been to Australia. She's been to islands in the Pacific. She's been to China, Russia, Vietnam, India, places you might not think she'd go. But she says all her children in the world, no matter what countries they're in, are all her children. And, some don't act very nicely, but they're still all her children, just like any parent. Not all your children are going to act right, even though you might be a great parent. That doesn't mean your children are going to act right, because we have free will. So, oh, dear. So this show takes a close look at all that. And I had the pleasure on this past Saturday to spend the day with a rather famous not a visionary, but she is certainly as close to it as you can get. She knows visionaries and is friends with visionaries from Rwanda, because that's where she's from. And her name is Immaculée Ilibagiza. And she wrote the book, Our Lady of Kibeho. And she also wrote the book Left to Tell, which describes her escape during the Rwandan genocide by hiding in a 3-foot by 4-foot bathroom with 8 other ladies and having to be quiet for 91 days while hiding in that locked bathroom and nearly escaping death numerous times. It's a long story, but it's a beautiful story. And anyway, so I had the day to talk with her and listen to her give talks to groups, and it was beautiful because she really reminds us of the beauty of praying the rosary, which she gave many examples of how it saved her many times when the odds were so against her. But she kept praying her rosary and knowing that it had great powers, and she proved it over and over with her stories. But she was a rare survivor. 1 million people were killed in that genocide. All of her family was killed, but she was a lone survivor from all of that. So quite an interesting story. But and we've talked about the Rwandan Kibeho apparitions on this show. So it was nice to meet the author of those books and the friend of those visionaries. And she had film clips of them during apparitions. It was just a beautiful, beautiful day. Just a really solid reminder that this stuff is so real and going on all around the world. So before we get going on our story from Brazil, we'll check in with our team here, starting with the head of the team, our captain, our founder of Deeper Truth, Mr. Donald Hartley.
Hey, John. And as I was listening to, and yes, you're meeting with this woman and you're talking to her in the past. It must have been very nice just to get reacquainted and catch up a little bit and
oh, absolutely.
Hear hers. That had to be good.
It was,
and tonight.
Well, and it was fun that she was excited about what I was doing, my research, my books. It was really neat that she was as excited about my work as I was about hers, and that was just unexpected to have her get all excited about what I'm doing. So that was fun. But sometimes I forget,
Truthfully, John, you could actually say she's now part of Deeper Truth now. She's part of us. That's
oh, yeah.
Now, where we're going to tonight, I think it's in, I just kind of want to get this out there. Dom Carrillo Gritti, the Bishop of the Diocese of Vita Coteria, approved the apparitions that you're going to be speaking about tonight, the 1994 and 1998 phase of the apparitions as supernatural, in origin on May 31st, 2009, and personally laid the cornerstone of a new sanctuary in this place that we're going to tonight on May 2nd, 2010. And so it's interesting. And what, I kind of looked at this today, and I spent a lot of time on here. And here's something that Our Lady says. Dear children, when I appeared in Gilead de Bonnet with Jesus and St. Joseph, I wanted to show you that later on the whole world should have a great love to the most chaste heart of St. Joseph and to the Holy Family, because Satan would attack the families very profoundly in the end times, destroying them. But I come again, bringing the graces of God, our Lord, to grant them to all the families most in need of divine protection. And the reason why this is because we're talking a lot about the family, and the month of August is dedicated by the Catholic Church to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And in this devotion, there's a part there where it talks about the hearts, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and the chaste heart of Joseph. And so just because I've been dealing with that this month, pretty much almost on a daily basis, and finding that this was a major theme that Our Lady is talking about here. I just, in fact, the sword that pierced the heart of Saint Joseph. A lot of people have never heard of some of this, and it just amazed me. So, John, I thought maybe you might may have had similar when you went through this and looked into this, had some similar thoughts, or maybe.
Oh,
what do you think?
Oh yeah, we'll get into it. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but we'll start at the beginning when we're ready here and introduce our visionary and what's going on to lead up to what you're talking about. Anyone else on the team here tonight?
We got Mike from New Jersey, and we got Doc from Tennessee, and so we'll bring them on here just to let's get you going and get it started, so that way they can respond to what we're talking about. But I know that because of last night, we spoke about, because I'm a team captain for America Needs Fatima, and so we're going to be doing the rosary in the public square here in Olathe, and so we put something out on that last night, so it's kind of spilling over into this. Because it's very interesting. I mean, the family is under attack, and that's why we need to stand up. We need to stand.
And that's one thing that Immaculate said on Saturday was how powerful the rosary is. You have no idea how powerful it is. And she just gave so many great examples of how it saved her at impossible times because she was determined to pray. And in fact, she prayed so much at one point that a guy came up to her who felt compelled to do things for her, and he says, "What kind of witchcraft are you doing here?"
Wow.
He was amazed at the results she was getting, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, I says, "I'm just praying the rosary." Anyway, that's another story. So we're going to Itapiranga, Brazil. That's spelled Itapiranga, Itapiranga, Brazil. The years are 1994 through 1998, not that long ago. And the visionary his name was Edson Glauber, age 22. He was a university student studying economics at the time of the apparitions in northern Brazil. Now, Edson is a kind, stable, calm young man who demonstrates remarkable balance and good mental health, according to Monsignor René Laurentin. And the series of reported visits began on May 2nd, 1994 in Manaus. Now, Blessed Mary appeared as a, quote, very beautiful 17-year-old, unquote. Our Lady told him that she is the Queen of the Holy Rosary. She appeared along with Jesus, being held in the arms of St. Joseph on several occasions. And when asked by Edson why Our Lady chose to appear as a mother with her son, she replied, quote, "Because I want to show all my children all over the world the love of a mother that I have for my son Jesus, and the love of a son that Jesus has for me. For this I chose to appear as mother and son to represent this love." Edson tried his best to portray the image of the Holy Family as well as he saw it. He describes that their three hearts are gathered on the same level when he drew the picture. The Virgin's heart is pierced by a cross, radiating light to the heart of St. Joseph, which in turn radiates light to the land and into the heart of the little child Jesus, held in his arms of St. Joseph, and on the right side of the picture. All three hearts are in alignment at the same height, so that no significance or priority is given to any one person. Our Lady speaks of the consecration to the most chaste heart of St. Joseph. His heart appears on his chest, and in his heart there is an M with a cross. as if to indicate that the hearts of Mary and Jesus are always together with his. Edson was given the mission to pray for the young, for their conversion, for peace, and for the world. Now, this is very interesting what's coming up. Holy Mary speaks to the truth of the apparitions at Gia dei Benate in Italy, where she had introduced herself as the queen of the family there in 1944, exactly 50 years earlier. Now, Edson had never heard of that place or that visionary before, but with his spiritual director, an Italian priest, and with permission from the Bishop of Manaus, the opportunity developed to visit Gia dei Benate in Italy. And while visiting there, Edson learned that the apparitions of Mary had indeed taken place there and had indeed centered on the importance of the family and family values, just as Our Lady had told him. The Blessed Virgin insisted upon praying the rosary and doing penance to save the world's problems, which were aggravated by unbelief. Mary had emphasized there the importance of prayer, the Holy Mass, confession, and communion. Now I'm going to stop there for a second because this is extremely important. When she's referring to a series of apparitions in Italy that initially were part of a scandal, not by the visionary, but by the investigators. This little 7-year-old girl, Adelaide Roncalli, had begun having visions of the Holy Family, Joseph, Mary, and Jesus, just like in this apparition. And Mary had indeed emphasized family values. In that apparition in Gia dei Benate, it started on May 13th, interesting, and went 13 occasions in the month of May, and included 3 or 4 nights of spinning sun, or I shouldn't say nights, but days in which the sun was spinning. They had crowds topping 350,000 people. That's right, 5 times the size of Fatima. The crowd was 5 times the size of the Fatima crowd. And they had the spinning sun. They had 300 cases of healings. They had all sorts of things going on. But this scholar took her into his custody with the bishop's permission and literally tried to brainwash her into saying she had lied and made it all up. And yet he had the trust, because he was this big scholar, to literally imprison her for 3 to 4 months, isolated in this little room, and drilling her, trying to brainwash her into lying. And then he essentially succeeded, where she signed a statement that she'd made it up, but then in her diary that she had kept, she admitted that she was lying to him, and it wasn't true. The apparitions were real, et cetera, et cetera. So this whole series of apparitions was like hidden for years. It finally got approval in the early 2000s of this last 20 years. And rightfully so, it finally got the approval and the recognition it deserved. But the interesting thing is Mary is acknowledging it and talking about it in another apparition, which in my mind validates the authenticity of this apparition, because Mary herself is talking about it down in Brazil, South America, about this one that happened in Italy and the family values. So that's just something we don't see too often, but she does sometimes refer to another apparition, which always is a strong validation of its authenticity when she brings it up somewhere else. So I just wanted to make sure people understood how hidden that wonderful apparition had been, but Mary is out talking about it and reminding people, hey, that happened. I was there. It happened. So I like that. Any reactions?
Well, for me, something about the Christ child and Mary appearing together. That happens in fact, in reference to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, which I was just talking about, because the month of August is dedicated to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And so basically that the Virgin Mary appeared to Lucia, one of the three children of Fatima, on July 13th, 1917, saying that there would be a future manifestation concerning the practice of the 5 first Saturdays, and this was fulfilled on December 10th, 1925. At the time, Lucia was a postulate sister in the Dorentian convent at Tai, Spain. On this occasion, Our Lady appeared together with the child Jesus, who spoke first to Lucia. So this is Jesus saying, "Have compassion on the heart of your most holy mother, covered with thorns, which ungrateful men place therein at every moment, while there is no one who does an act of reparation to withdraw them for her." And then Our Lady addressed Lucia as follows: "Behold, my daughter, my heart encircled with thorns, with which ungrateful men pierce it at every moment by their blasphemies and ingratitude. Give me consolation, you at least, and make known on my behalf that I promise to assist at the hour of death, with the graces necessary for salvation, all who on the first Saturday of 5 consecutive months confess their sins, receive Holy Communion, recite 5 decades of the Rosary, and keep me company for 15 minutes meditating on the mysteries of the Rosary, with the purpose of making reparation to my Immaculate Heart." And so I'm seeing this, and this is this is very, we see this a lot. Mike, what do you think about all this?
Well, I'm just looking at the overall picture, and you're looking at, Mary is saying that there are certain things that are important and certain things that are not important. And we need to concentrate on the important factors and let the others fall by the wayside.
Yeah. And family has to be very important, and standing up for what a real family is, And I know that, John, Doc is chomping at the bits to get into this a little bit. Doc, what do you think about this?
Oh, man, so many things. First, that Cats in the Cradle song that you played in the intro, I never heard that version of it. And growing up, I couldn't listen to that song. It hit too close to home. But, I'm listening to this conversation, and I'm listening to all this talk about Mary and the fact that Joseph was there and Jesus involved with it. And, a lot's been going on, and I'm seeing it, and I think the message is starting to get out. The men are starting to rally and realizing that it's okay to be a man. This talk about the family, bringing back the family. There are two things that have to happen this is my perspective. We took the father out of the home, and we took masculinity training out of the church. We need to put them back, both. We need to bring back the Latin Rite, which actually teaches righteous masculinity at its core. We bring that back in, so now we're teaching the masculinity. But yes, the family. The family is the cornerstone of our society. Without the family, that's the building block of society. Without the family, there is no society. Christ put this out there for us. He made marriage a covenant. It's a vow. It's not something that can be dissolved over a weekend. It's when you say I do, when I married my wife, I came into the faith, I converted, and during that time we got married. I had to go through not only the RCIA class, but we also had to go through this, it's almost like a retreat for young couples about to get married to look at the enormity of it. The church actually put this out there.
Yeah, pre-Cana.
But even that was lacking the masculinity factor. We need. I think I see now. That was 27 years ago. We've come a long way. We've got a long way to go. But I do see that it's starting. More people are talking about it at least, and that's a start.
Well,
the communication factor is out there. So,
and
Mike, when you were speaking, it sounded great.
Yeah, he does. He did. Our Lady is speaking about it, and we are speaking about it. So, John, you got anything more that she's saying about this, or anything more on this?
Oh yeah. And while I'm thinking of it, I just looked up on my website. If anyone's following along there on divinemysteries.info, if you go to the table of contents under the Mary apparition picture and pull up this Brazil, South America, Itapiranga incident, you can see pictures of these three hearts. And there's a book by a famous author, Dr. Mark Marival. He's written several good Catholic books. He wrote one on all of this called The Three Hearts. And you could probably find it on Amazon. It's called The Three Hearts, and he talks about all of this. So that's a good thing to maybe check out. Anyway, many spiritual fruits of conversion and life changes are attributed to these apparitions. Thousands of people came every day to Itapiranga to water from the healing fountain. So they had healing water there from Mary blessing the water. Some doctors have studied the reported healings there and sent their findings to the Apostolic Prefecture of Itapiranga. And in her last public apparition on May 2nd, 1998, exactly 4 years later to the day, Our Lady warns that she would no longer appear in that place because she had already said what she wanted to convey to the people. Now it was time to put it into practice, what she had been telling them to do. Apparitions continued privately, though, for both Edson and his mother, Maria del Carmo, because Our Lady stated she wanted to continue to guide them and pray with them for the church, the world, families, and peace. In the years 1998 to 2000, the Virgin Mary appeared several times to Edson during meetings with groups of young people in Brazil. So that's pretty cool. While he's meeting with groups of young people, she shows up. And since 2001, Our Lady has appeared frequently on Saturdays during the prayer meeting that takes place in the home of Edson. In addition to her request to evangelize, Our Lady asked Edson to create a soup kitchen in Itapiranga for needy children. Will be built in memory of the workers who died in the 30s in that region. Blessed Mary then requested that Edson bring the healing waters that were flowing at the site of the apparitions to the sick who cannot go there for themselves. And when he did that, many conversions and positive life changes occurred afterwards. Thousands of people came every day to Itapiranga. They drank the water from the healing fountain, and doctors studied the healings there. Bishop Jorge Eduardo Marscal remained at a distance from the reported healings and other spiritual fruits, and apparently was unfavorable of the apparitions initially, according to Monsignor René Laurentin. But after 5 years of general and pastoral verifications, the current bishop of Itacoatiara, Archbishop Carrillo Gritti, publicly celebrated Mass in the place of the apparitions. He also worked to construct the sanctuary that Mary had requested. He interviewed Edson and his mother on several occasions. And then on May 31st, 2009, Art Carrillo Gritti approved the supernatural character of the apparitions in this statement. Quote, this is 2009, considering these opinions, testimonies, developments, and pondering all of this in prayer and theological reflection, everything leads me to finding that they are appearances in Itapiranga of a supernatural origin. All right. And let's see what else we got here. So, actually, that's the information I have here, but I know I haven't gotten the rest of it from this new book by Mark Miraval, but we know he's a good author, and he put a lot more in his book. I guess I think he went down there and studied it more in depth, which is really cool. So
he's from Steubenville University. Yeah, he's from Steubenville University, and the book is called The Three Hearts, Apparitions of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph from the Amazon. And I'll tell everybody there who's maybe listening to this tonight, I have these pictures that John was just talking about, that I added them, that are there in. You could see those pictures as we're covering this and talking about it tonight. It's part of the. So it's in our showcase, and I was because I had kind of a special insight. I found out from last week where we were going to, and I went ahead and kind of looked it up a little bit, and because it dealt with St. Joseph, and it was important to me, and so I just thought this was.
And you raise a good point, as did Mary. The family is hugely important, and that's why she refers to Giovanate in Italy. I thought that was great, that she brought up that she tried really hard to emphasize family values there, but that scandal kind of buried that whole series of apparitions for a while. By the way, they fired that scholar and forbid him like a restraining order to stay away from the apparition, the visionary. So they took care of him eventually. Yeah. But even one of our popes and several world-renowned psychiatrists gave her a positive rating as a wonderful visionary. And I think she's still alive. She'd be in her 80s now, but I think she's still alive. But anyway, it's really cool that Mary comes again with the whole theme of family values and makes reference to that in Italy. That's great. But the book should be a good one to read, The Three Hearts. I know I've got it. I just haven't had time to dig into it more. And this, as well as apparitions, where obviously there's a lot more to it that just is still being uncovered and brought to light. And that doesn't surprise me, because anything in the last 30 years takes a while to actually get to print, to collect it and edit and have someone actually put it into a book or something. It takes a while when things are still going on. So anyway, it's kind of cool. Brazil had their turn with Mary appearing there, and this young man and his mother both right in the thick of it, and getting nice approval down there from the authorities. There's always some that are reluctant to jump on the bandwagon, but it was a good test of time there, where after 5 years, he just couldn't say anything anymore, and others got it approved. So Mary's persistent.
Yeah, and not just Donald, that. On March 2nd, 1998. Yep.
I was just going to say, you notice how she asked for a church to be built. It's one of the themes in about 75% of the apparitions. She asked for a church to be built, and sure enough, here it came.
Yep. But St. Joseph and the Christ child here appeared March 2nd, 1998. St. Joseph appeared with the child Jesus with a red mantle and a white tunic, and the boy Jesus had his head inclined on St. Joseph's heart, playing with the lilies he held in his hands. And St. Joseph had brilliant green eyes and a beautiful smile. He appeared to be very young, with an indescribable beauty. So that's interesting. I never heard that about St. Joseph before that way. But I guess it only makes it just sees. I guess it's why not? Why not?
Right.
And so,
right.
And so, Mike, what do you think about that?
Well, looking at all of these quotes and what have you, and the importance of the family and all of that, there were people back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s who were emphasizing the same thing. One of those is not Catholic, but his name is Dr. James Dobson, and he wrote several books advising word of advice to the family. He's a psychologist, and he was quite influential in Protestant circles. So this importance went further along. It went further than just in the Catholic Church alone. So others were picking up the message and running with it.
Definitely.
If you ever in Colorado Springs,
that's focus on the family. Doc, what do you think about this? I know that you are real big about wanting the return of the actual traditional family.
Oh, I would love to see it. I'm seeing it more and more. It is returning in small groups, and they are growing, thank God. I do have a question, though, because we hear so few apparitions with Joseph. Did he, or is there any apparitions that we know of where he actually gave a message? And if he did, what is that message?
I can't think of any, to be honest. He is usually a silent partner. When he appeared in Knock Ireland, he was silent. When he appeared in Fatima in Visions in the Sky, there was no message. In this one, there was no message. And I can't think of a single time where he ever gave a message. Can you, Donald?
Not verbally. Not verbally,
No.
But I believe that he does give a message because of his heart, his chaste heart, the love that he had,
right.
the great love that he had for our Lord and Our Lady, the most chaste heart of Saint Joseph, and to the Holy Family, because Satan would attack the families very profoundly in this end of times, destroying them. But I come again, bringing the graces of God, our Lord, to grant them to all the families most in need of divine protection. Oh, wow.
So let's
that's
so Doc,
that's pretty cool.
You might say, Doc, that a picture is 1,000 words in this case. An image is 1,000 words.
Well, I always thought that Joseph, even before I coined the phrase, I just always thought that he was the very definition of righteous masculinity. And because people, I talk about it a lot, and people are like, "What is masculinity? If you can put it in one word, what is it?" And I had to think about that. And right now, the only thing I've come up with is obligation. But it's an obligation you want to do. It's something that we're made for it. That's why we're here. We're obligated to make sure our family get to heaven. We're obligated to make sure our children get a good education. We're obligated to make sure the lights stay on, the food stays on the cover, and to provide a safe place for our family, friends, and coworkers. We're obligated to stand up when there's evil and heresy, and not just say, "Oh no, we're not going to get involved." We're obligated to get involved. I mean, and Joseph, he never spoke a word that I know of, but he got it all done. I mean, that's masculinity itself. That's that silent dude in the back of the room that he just gets up and does it, and everybody says that's cool. Because he does it right.
He did say something, though. He said, "Wake up." to Jesus and Mary. Wake up! We got to rock. We got to run. We're on our way to Egypt.
You stop. But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I talk about Fulton Sheen being the best example, and he's the best modern example we have. But if you have to really look at righteous masculinity, you look no further than Joseph. You can't get a better example.
Yeah,
I agree. He's the epitome of it. We need more of them like him.
Yep, I think your word obligation and providing and protecting and guiding, those are all strong masculine traits. I agree.
Now here's something that St. Joseph does say. He says, the invocation of my name is enough to make demons flee. I promise to all the faithful that honor my most chaste heart with faith and love, the grace to live with holy purity of soul and body, and the strength to resist all attacks and temptations by the devil. I myself will preciously protect you. This grace is not only destined for those who honor this heart of mine, but also for all their family members who are in need of divine help. I give you my blessing in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So that's something that he said.
And where
Wow.
did you get that?
I got this where the church-approved messages of the heart of St. Joseph down there in Brazil, where we're at today.
Okay.
So
Okay, great.
I've heard
That's
that
great.
before. I've heard that. Joseph is my patron, always has been, right from the jump. And, yeah, I've heard that before.
All right.
Yeah.
And probably the next time we come back to the story, we'll have even more information on it. Just one of those things that kind of grows with time. We get more and more to talk about. But that's what happens with some of these more recent ones. So that's all right. Hey, Donald, you're going to like it where we're going next week.
Oh, really? Oh, the Philippines? Or,
Nope.
Or China.
Yep.
China.
And what we're going to do, because we're coming up through time, 1994 to 1998, and this thing in China happened in 1995, but it's a sequel to what happened in 1900, and so we'll actually talk about both of those next week together. What happened in 1900 again, and what happened then, more recently, almost 100 years later, in 95, in Donglu, China. So I know that's one of your favorite stories.
It is, and I love Saint Michael. In fact, I have to tell you, in my walking, I've moved Trump over with the Old Glory in my right hand, and in my left hand, I've got a new flag, a brand new flag, and a beautiful flag of Saint Michael the Archangel. And man, that is awesome. And so that is awesome. And so St. Michael's a good friend to have. He's a great friend to have with me out there.
Oh, yeah. He definitely shows up at times and surprises people. You remember that story about the Marine walking in Korea in about 1950? He's walking along, and all of a sudden there's another member of his unit, or at least he thinks it's another member of his unit they hadn't seen before, starts walking alongside him. And he says his name's Michael. And he says, well, I haven't seen you before. He goes, well, I just recently joined the unit. And they're walking through Korea there looking for commies. And so they're walking along. It's kind of a cold morning, but he notices that his new friend Michael there's no breath coming out of his mouth. He's breathing heavy and seeing all that, exhaust coming out of your mouth in the cold air. And Michael doesn't seem to have any coming out of his mouth, and he kind of finds that interesting. And then his new friend Michael refers to a St. Michael prayer that just so happens that this soldier had prayed all during his youth. And he thought that's strange that he would know about that. And then the new friend Michael says, there's going to be trouble up ahead, which the soldier wondered how he would know that. You know, they haven't even gotten up ahead yet. And the rest of his platoon is behind, trailing way behind. He's up kind of scouting ahead with his new friend Michael. Well, all of a sudden, 7 commies appear with rifles aimed right at them. And so the soldier hits the dirt, but Michael stays standing. And the soldier says, get down, Michael, get down. You're going to get killed. But Michael just stands there. So maybe he's paralyzed with fear. So the soldier jumps up to try to grab him and drag him down, and it doesn't work, and he gets shot instead. And so he's getting woozy. He got shot. He doesn't know what's going on. And before he passes out, he looks up, and Michael now is ablaze with light. And he sees these huge wings coming from his friend Michael and a sword blazing with light in his hands. And then he passes out. And he thought, God, did I dream that or what? Well, he comes to in the hospital, and his sergeant comes up to him and says, son, I want to know how you did it. And he says, did what? He says, those 7 commies were all dead, but there's not a shot fired from your gun. How did you kill them? And he goes, I don't know. I don't remember. And he says, well, it's very strange because they were all killed with a single slash of a sword.
Wow.
And they were strewn all around you, and we don't know how you could have done that. And he realized, oh, my gosh, St. Michael had shown up and saved his life. Is that not a cool story?
It's a very cool
story. That's a
story.
real good story.
Yeah. The slash of a sword killed all 7 commies. The soldiers actually passed out on the ground.
If he would have stood behind St. Michael, he would have been shielded from the bullets.
Yeah. Well, St. Michael told him
he didn't recognize
him. Stay down. No,
he didn't recognize him.
He didn't recognize him.
He does now. The last thing he said was he said he prayed that St. Michael prayer every day growing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, cool story.
Put
That's
that
in my
at the
first
end of the rosary. I say that at the end of my rosary.
Yeah.
I think that's
absolutely.
excellent.
Every day.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it doesn't matter what we did during the day. We always come together and we do the rosary together at night. Family. That's very important. Awesome. Family should pray the rosary together. I mean, you have to work it out. I have to make it happen. If you travel, you can do it online. You can communicate that way. Make it happen.
That's right. Fully agree. Absolutely. Fun going to China and hearing about that amazing St. Michael story. That's another St. Michael story next week. So that'll be a fun one. Yes, indeed. One of mine too. Yeah, but we won't spill it. We won't spoil the story. No. We'll just enjoy that next week. And it's about that time to say our Hail Mary around the world. And it's interesting. Immaculate told me on Saturday that you wouldn't believe how much one Hail Mary helps, that not one Hail Mary goes to waste. And I started thinking about how I get hundreds or thousands of people around the world to say it with me at this moment and wonder how much good that is doing. We don't know. But as we say it, think of someone who needs prayers as you say your own Hail Mary with me now. Join with me now. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. And God bless every one of you who tuned in tonight, and hopefully this was helpful, interesting, educational, maybe inspirational. If nothing else, stay tuned. We've got more to come every week, and we will never run out of things to talk about when it comes to the Virgin Mary. It's just way too much information, which might surprise people, because most Catholics know about 4 or 5 apparition stories if they're lucky. And here we're going to cover 100. So anyway, back to you, Donald. Thank you, everyone.
Well, at least, and since we're talking about the Hail Mary, I love this version as well.